my name is Megan, and this is Everything Lit. And today I'm bringing you my March TBR and solidifying my place as a crazy cat lady with the shirt. We're just staying on brand, okay? Right, Vino? So in March, I am participating in the Trope-ical Readathon. So all the books that I have chosen, this big old stack, fulfill prompts for the readathon. And this is a readathon based on tropes. So I think there are 15 overall tropes, and they have a prompt and then an alternate prompt. So if you don't like one of them or you can't fulfill one of them, you can do the alternate prompt. So for example, one of the ones that I don't care for is apocalyptic, like read an apocalyptic book. I'm not really about apocalypse stories right now. So the alternate prompt, which may be shooting myself in the foot, is reading a book over 500 pages. So very exciting. And then this readathon also has different teams based on genres. So I'm going to be on team romance, and we'll talk about what that affects later. Basically, I think there are 5 or 6 teams competing to get the most points and win the readathon. What do you win? Bragging rights, I guess. But my competitive nature says team romance, let's go. You know, if anyone wants to do this readathon and do a buddy read, I'm kind of struggling with that prompt. So, help me out here. So the first prompt is absent/dead parents or a book with multiple authors. And I'm going with a book with multiple authors, If This Gets Out, by Sophie Gonzalez and Cale Dietrich. This is a boy band story research for my book, and this is about 2 male boy band members who are falling in love with each other, but they are being pressured to stay quiet, stay closeted for the marketing and because of the fans. The next prompt is love triangle or friends choose between 2 books. And I think I'm gonna do the friends choose between 2 books. I will probably go on Instagram, or maybe I'll just text my group chat and see. But I think I'm going to have them choose between Blackout by Connie Willis and The Impossible Lives of Greta Wells by Andrew Sharon Greer. I might read one of these. I might read both if I can. Blackout is a time travel story. So this takes place in Oxford 2060 with time traveling historians being sent into the past. They're sent into World War II during the Blitz. This is the first in a duology. I have heard that this is kind of boring, actually, but I'm going to be reading it for the time travel mechanics, so I don't know. This could be a DNF. It's kind of thick. So I'm thinking if it gets too boring, it'll be a DNF. And then The Impossible Lives of Greta Wells. So this is about Greta Wells, who after the death of her twin brother and the breakup of her longtime relationship, goes in for some sort of mental health treatment in 1985, and she finds herself sent backwards to 1918 and 1941 every now and then. Good old time travel story. But I have read something else by this author and absolutely adored it, so I'm hoping that this is a win both in a good story and time travel stuff. Okay, the next one is the one that I'm struggling with. The prompt is boarding school / group or buddy read. And I don't think this book takes place in a boarding school. So if I could swap it out for something else, I might. But I do need to read Timekeeper by Tara Sims. This is an alternate Victorian London. It's YA, and it takes place in an alternate Victorian world controlled by clock towers, where a damaged clock can fracture time and a destroyed one can stop it completely. So this does involve some sort of time travel. It has a romance. I don't think it takes place in a boarding school, so I'm kind of struggling with where to put it, but I do need to read it this month. Another prompt that I might end up swapping out is Dark Academia or a borrowed book. And for Dark Academia, I have chosen The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is one of my backlist books to read this year, so I would be getting that done. But it's also a big book. It's over 500 pages, and I don't know if I'm going to like it, but I've had it forever, and everyone talks about this being the Dark Academia book. Thinking if I can slot it into a readathon, that'll make it less daunting, but it's still pretty daunting because it's over 500 pages. I'm worried it's going to be boring, and if I end up DNFing it, it doesn't count for the prompt, so I'd have to pick something else. It sounds kind of like the Dead Poet Society, but make it evil. you know, where like they have an enigmatic professor who's teaching them about literature and morality, except the morality is bad. And the teacher is kind of, I'm not using them, but like teaching them bad shit instead of being Robin Williams, you know? The next prompt is either holiday or takes place in another country. And I feel like it could be so fun to read some sort of holiday book, especially, oh my God, wait. Could be super fun to read a holiday book. And in fact, I just thought of, I could read Lucky Leap Day because, I mean, it's not leap year, but like this takes place in March, February. And this is by Anne Marie Walker. I bought this last year and then didn't read it. So I could read this for the holiday prompt, but I might read Takes Place in Another Country and use A Symphony of Echoes by Jodi Taylor. This is the sequel to Just One Damned Thing After Another. It is a Chronicles of St. Mary's book. It's a time travel book, second in a series, which will be really helpful to see how they carry through the time travel mechanics, because the time travel boy band book that I'm writing supposed to be one in a series, so I really do want to read this. I loved the first one, and this does take place in England, but also they time travel, so it's in other countries. The next prompt is Blast from the Past or a book published before 2000. So I'm doing Blast from the Past, and I'm using Yesterday's History by Kosoko Jackson. This is another time travel book, and like the Blast from the Past trope is basically like someone from the past comes back. The main character gets a liver transplant, and that liver allows him to time travel. And so it's him going to the past, and then in the present day, he's learning about his new gift and the family that this liver came from. There might be a lot of shifting in this readathon, because the next prompt is mixed media / audiobook or ebook. And for this, I believe I'm going to read Invictus by Ryan Groudon. I can get the audiobook from my library and listen to that. And this is a heist on the Titanic, but make it time travel. So people are coming from the future to go back to the Titanic and rob it. My next one is the example, so apocalyptic or a book over 500 pages, and for this I'm hopefully going to read Prince Lestat by Anne Rice. This is over 500 pages. This is the 11th or 12th in the Vampire Chronicles series, and Lestat comes back from the dead for the like third time. No idea what else to say about this, but he's a vampire. For the prompt Found Family or book in a series, I'm going to read Vicious Spirits by Kat Cho. This is the second book in a series. It's technically a duology. Does that count as a series? I could read one of my cozy mysteries for this. This is the sequel to Wicked Fox. This follows two of the side characters from the first book. One is sort of a demon, I believe, and the other is the best friend of the girl in the first one. The next prompt is Coming of Age or an Indie Yourself pub book. Coming of Age, I'm going to read Out of Character by Jenna Miller. This was on my February TBR, but I did not get to it. So this is about a girl who is involved in fandom and role-playing online. When her regular life and her role-playing life start to intersect, friends start to meet, it gets kind of messy, and she has to decide what to do. Oh my gosh, it has a kitty on the back. Look at that little kitty. For the next one, I do have two options because we're struggling with this TBR this month, but the prompt is multiple points of view or multiple POC characters. So for multiple points of view, I might read Daisy Jones and the Six by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is about a band in the 60s, 70s era that there is infighting and then they break up, and this is basically a podcast interview, whatever, about this band and what it was like being in the band. I've heard nothing but good things, and this is told from multiple points of view of people in the band and I think managers and surrounding them. The other option for multiple POC characters is a book that I need to read for another video called The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. This is about a young slave woman on a plantation who is convinced to run away and find the Underground Railroad, and I think it just follows her journey to freedom. It sounds like it will make me cry. It won the Pulitzer Prize, so you know it's good. The next prompt is bookish themes or book with a pun in the title. For this, I think I'm going to try to read No Parm, No Foul by Linda Riley. This is a pun in the title. This is part of the Cozy Mystery series about a grilled cheese shop and the woman who runs it. I believe this is going to have a Halloween food competition, which sounds cute, but then someone's body is found in her kitchen dead, and so she tries to help solve that murder, solve that mystery. Next prompt is a retelling slash book with a TV movie adaptation. And for this, I'm going to try to read Spin Me Right Round by David Valdez. This is sort of a retelling of Back to the Future, where this boy goes back in time and meets his dad, and that's all I know. So I think it's Back to the Future retelling, and that's what I'm going to count it for this. And the main character is queer. I love the last line on the back of this. It says, "I'm here, I'm queer, it's 1985, get used to it." Those are all the main prompts. Because I'm on Team Romance, we have 2 romance books, like buddy reads, to choose from, and then we have 2 romance-based prompts. And so each team has their buddy reads and then their prompts. So for Team Romance, the buddy read options are Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. And this is the one that I'm going to read. This is YA, brand new release. I think it's got academic rivals and a competition where there's some sort of survival course in the woods. The other option is You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. I'm probably not going to read this, but it's definitely an option. And this is about some telenovela stars that fall in love. And I love that this readathon, they usually choose a brand new book and a backlist book so that everyone has the option to get a hold of these, you know, because it's going to be easier to get a hold of the older book at your library. And then the Team Romance prompts. The first one is book with the competition trope. And for that, I have 2 choices again. The first is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. I want to read this for another video down the line, but I don't know if I'm going to get to it this month. But this has a TV competition, sort of like The Bachelorette, where this plus size girl, gets sort of conscripted at the last moment to be in this show. And I love Julie Murphy. Or my other option, which I think fits the prompt better, is May the Best Man Win by Z.R. Elor. This is about a trans boy who challenges his ex-boyfriend to the title of Homecoming King. Their competition to become Homecoming King, and I think it's like ex-lovers to now lovers again. This definitely has a more clear competition trope. And then the other one is a historical romance novel. And for this, I have 2 options once again. The first one is A Stitch in Time. I don't remember who it's by. I'll put it on the screen. This is another time travel book, but it's historical fiction and it has romance. That's all I know. The more likely option is Once Dishonored by Mary Jo Putney. I recommended this in my Candy Hearts video, and it just brought back to my attention how interesting I found this book, because it's basically about a divorced woman who is just absolutely scandalous. She's basically the rake in the relationship, and then a man who's like a Royal Navy officer and very uptight and proper, and them falling in love. All right, and then I have just a couple bonus books that I would like to get to, but I don't know if it'll happen. So the first one is The Last Tale of the Flower Bride by Roshani Chokshi. This is a gothic fairy tale-esque adult story, adult romance, and I believe this is the fantasy teams, one of their group reads, so you get points if you read the group reads from other teams. Another book I would like to get to is Blacktop Wasteland by S.A. Cosby. This is, I believe, the mystery thriller teams, one of their group reads, and I already own this, so it would be extra points for my team. This is about a getaway driver who has given up the life of crime and is now living a quiet life, but of course he gets tangled up in like one last hit, one last crime, you know? Got to do that one last job and then he'll be free. This is the author of Razorblade Tears, which I have not yet read, but I want to. And then 2 books that I couldn't fit into any of the prompts, and if I do, I might have to like reorder stuff and just figure it out. They're all going to be read this month, but for what prompts, I'm just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping it sticks. First one is Circe by Madeline Miller. This is a retelling of the life of Circe. She was a character in the Odyssey who like charmed Odysseus and like trapped him on an island and turned his men into pigs. But this is her story about her life before that, and I believe after that. I've heard nothing but good things about this. This is the same author who wrote The Song of Achilles. And the last book that I would like to get to in March is Radiant Sin by Katie Robert. This doesn't fit into any prompts, but I want to read it so bad. And this is a retelling of Apollo and Cassandra. It involves spying and fake dating. And of course, it's going to be sexy as hell because that's what Katie Robert does. Those are all of the books that I would like to read in March. I'm also, very excitingly, going to Spain this month. So I need to either have a lot of audiobooks or be able to borrow these from my library so I can put them on my e-reader so I'm not carrying around like 15 books, you know? Thanks for watching, and if you like this video, you could like it or subscribe to me to see if I actually did read all of these books. But really, you can do whatever you want, and I'll see you next time.